in connection with fire incident at the Secretariat. A high-level investigation committee formed to probe into the fire, informs advisor Saida Rizwana Hassan.
আজকে একটি জরুরি সভা হয়েছে মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টার সভাপতিত্বে। সেখানে সিদ্ধান্ত হয়েছে যে একটি অনেক উচ্চ পর্যায়ের কমিটি কাজ করে 3 দিনের মধ্যে প্রাথমিক রিপোর্ট দেবে এই অগ্নিকাণ্ডের ঘটনার বিষয়ে।
The fire at the Secretariat damages a number of ministries including LGRD, roads, youth and sports. The investigation would ensure if the fire incident was an act of sabotage or not, says Home Advisor. BNP expresses concern over the fire at the Secretariat, while AB party calls upon the interim government to look into the fire incident with utmost importance. 38 more Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza as Israeli gear up operation in the West Bank. And Australia scored 311 runs in 6 wickets against India at the end of the first day of Boxing Day test in Melbourne. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Jamat Islami, welcoming you to News at 10. You have just heard the headlines, now moving on to the details. Environment, Forest and Climate Change Advisor Saida Rizwana Hassan has said the high-profile probe committee formed by the government to investigate the Secretariat fire incident would submit its primary report within the next 3 days. She said this while briefing reporters at Foreign Service Academy this evening. The advisor said an emergency meeting was held with Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus in the chair, where the discussion and the decision was taken. Said Rizwana Hassan said the government wants a thorough and extensive investigation. The government is giving the highest importance to the matter.
জরুরি সভা হয়েছে মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টার সভাপতিত্বে। সেখানে সিদ্ধান্ত হয়েছে যে একটি অনেক উচ্চ পর্যায়ের কমিটি কাজ করে 3 দিনের মধ্যে প্রাথমিক রিপোর্ট দেবে এই অগ্নিকাণ্ডের ঘটনার বিষয়ে। কমিটির সভাপতির দায়িত্ব পালন করবেন স্বরাষ্ট্র মন্ত্রণালয়ের সিনিয়র সচিব। ওনার সাথে থাকবেন সচিব গৃহায়ন ও গণপূর্ত মন্ত্রণালয়, আমাদের পুলিশের আইজিপি, ফায়ার সার্ভিস এবং সিভিল ডিফেন্সের প্রধান, তিনি থাকবেন সদস্য সচিব, সশস্ত্র বাহিনীর একজন বিস্ফোরক বিশেষজ্ঞ এবং 3 জন বিশেষজ্ঞ। তারা হচ্ছেন বুয়েটের থেকে একজন সিভিল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার, একজন কেমিক্যাল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার, একজন ইলেকট্রনিক ইঞ্জিনিয়ার। এই কয়জনের সমন্বয়ে যে কমিটিটা গঠিত হয়েছে, সেই কমিটিটা অগ্নিকাণ্ডের বিষয়ে তদন্ত করে আমাদেরকে বলবেন। উৎস কি, কারণ কি, এটা তারা আমাদেরকে 3 দিনের মধ্যে জানাবেন। তদন্তের স্বার্থেই হয়তো প্রাথমিক রিপোর্টটা দেওয়া সম্ভব নাও হতে পারে, কিন্তু ফাইনাল রিপোর্ট যখন হবে এবং সেটাও দ্রুততার সাথেই হবে, সেটার কপি আপনারা সকলেই পাবেন।
Local Government and Rural Development and Cooperatives Advisor Asif Mahmood Shoji Bhuya said the documents of 5 ministries were burnt. The documents of the Ministry of Youth and Sports can be recovered as they have digital records.
যোগাযোগ বিভাগ আংশিকভাবে ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে, শ্রম ও কর্মসংস্থান মন্ত্রণালয় ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে, যুব ক্রীড়া এবং স্থানীয় সরকার পল্লী উন্নয়ন সমবায় মন্ত্রণালয়, এছাড়াও রোডস এন্ড হাইওয়ে সেটাও ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে। এই রোডস এন্ড হাইওয়ে ডিভিশন আর হচ্ছে ট্রাক্টরিযোগ ডিভিশন আর বাকি 3টা মন্ত্রণালয়, এই মোট 5টা মন্ত্রণালয়ের নথিগুলো ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে। এর মধ্যে যুব ক্রীড়া মন্ত্রণালয়ের নথির কার্যক্রম অনলাইনে থাকার কারণে সেটা আমরা রিকভার করতে পারবো, কিন্তু স্থানীয় সরকার পল্লী উন্নয়ন সমবায় মন্ত্রণালয়ের কার্যক্রম পুরোটাই অ্যানালগ ভাবে হয়, পুরোটাই ফাইলে হয়। সুতরাং যে শাখাগুলোর নথিগুলো আসলে পুড়ে গেছে সেগুলো কতটুকু রিকভার করা যাবে সেটা ক্ষয়ক্ষতি নিরূপণ করার জন্য আমাদের মন্ত্রণালয়ের পর্যায়ে একটা কমিটি আমরা করেছি। সেই কমিটি কাজ করে একটা রিপোর্ট প্রদান করলে আমরা বুঝতে পারবো যে আসলে আমাদের কি পরিমাণ ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হয়েছে, কোনটা রিকভারেবল আর কোনটা রিকভারেবল না। স্থানীয় সরকার বিভাগে আমি দায়িত্ব গ্রহণ করার পর আমরা কিছু অর্থনৈতিক অসঙ্গতি লক্ষ্য করেছি। বিশেষ করে একটা জেলায়, পিরোজপুর জেলায় বিভিন্ন প্রকল্পের যে বরাদ্দ দেওয়া হতো সেখানকার পিডি সহ সেখানে পুরো একটা কার্টেল করে সেখানে অর্থ লোপাটের প্রাথমিক প্রমাণ আমরা পেয়েছি এবং এর সাথে সাবেক মুখ্য সচিবেরও প্রাথমিক সম্পৃক্ততার প্রমাণ পাওয়া গিয়েছে। সেটার বিস্তারিত তদন্ত এখনো চলছে, তবে সেটা আমরা প্রথমে ধারণা করেছিলাম যে সেই তদন্তের যেই ফাইলগুলো ছিল মন্ত্রণালয়ে সেগুলো ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে, কিন্তু যেহেতু পিরোজপুর জেলা পর্যায়ে সংগঠিত হয়েছে, জেলা থেকে আবার আমরা ফাইলগুলো রিকভার করতে পারবো। এখন আমাদের তদন্ত কর্মকর্তারা পিরোজপুরে আছেন, তো এই যে অর্থ লোপাটের যে বিষয়টা, এটাকে আমরা রিকভার করে আমাদের তদন্ত কার্যক্রম পরিচালনা করতে পারবো।
Home Affairs Advisor Lieutenant General retired Jahangir Alam Chaudhry and Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shofikul Alam was present. Earlier, a 7-member high-powered committee was formed to investigate the fire that broke out in building number 7 of the Secretariat in Dhaka early today. The committee, headed by Muhammad Khalid Rohim, Additional Secretary of the Cabinet Division, has been tasked with uncovering the cause of the blaze and addressing the damage, according to an officer order of the Cabinet Division. The committee will submit its report within the next 7 working days, detailing findings and recommendations to prevent such incidents in the future. The committee will also examine whether any individuals bear personal or professional responsibility for the incident. The fire, which broke out on the 6th floor of Secretariat Building number 7 around 1:52 a.m., was completely doused after 10 hours of effort. Earlier, Home Advisor Lieutenant General retired Muhammad Jahangir Alam Chaudhry asked to form a high-power committee to probe the Secretariat Building fire. He said the real cause of the fire would be known through an investigation. The advisor said the government can't say anything whether the fire was sabotage or accidental without conducting investigation. Speaking at a press conference at the Secretariat, Director General of Fire Service and Civil Defence Jahid said that the fire had been completely extinguished by 11:45 a.m. He said the cause of the devastating fire that engulfed building number 7 of the Bangladesh Secretariat still remains unknown. Noting that several ministries, including LGRD, Roads, Youth and Sports, were affected by the unprecedented fire incident at the Secretariat, Liberation War Affairs Advisor Faruqi Azam said it is not possible to say whether it is a conspiracy or not before the investigation. Namaz-e-Janaza of Shohanur Zaman Noyon was held at the Fire Service and Civil Defence Headquarters after Zohr prayers today. Home Advisor Lieutenant General retired Muhammad Jahangir Alam Chaudhry attended the Janaza. Special Assistant to the Chief Advisor Muhammad Khoda Box Chaudhry, Director General of Fire Service and Civil Defence Brigadier General Muhammad Zahid Kamal, among others, were present on the occasion. After the Namaz Janaza, the body was taken to his village home at Atpania village in Mithapukur, Upazila of Rangpur for burial. Noyan was crossing the road with a fire service water pipe on his shoulder. At that time, a speeding truck hit him from behind and he fell on the road. Later, he was taken to Dhaka Medical College Hospital, where duty doctor declared him dead. Noyan was a member of the special branch of the Tejga fire team. He has been in the fire service for 2 years. BNP has expressed deep concern over the incident of fire at the Secretariat at the capital in the early hours of Thursday. In a statement today, BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir also mourned the death of a firefighter and conveyed deep sympathy of the bereaved family and wished quick recovery of the injured. The BNP Secretary General said the fire caused extensive damage as important documents were burned to ashes. Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir strongly demanded the real culprits to be found and punished through a fair investigation into the fire at the Secretariat. He also called for providing compensation to the families of the deceased and the injured. BNP's Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kobir Rizvi said that the fire incident took place after the summoning of the important papers of the government. He made the comment at a discussion meeting at Dhaka Reporters Unity this noon. The discussion was arranged in memory of blood-stained Motihar and Rizvi Ahmed, 22 December 84. Rajshahi University Nationalist Ex-Student Association or RANISA organized the program. The BNP leader mentioned that the fire incident took place at the Secretariat when some documents regarding Sheikh Hasina and her accomplices were asked to submit. The burning of the important papers in the fire incident raised questions among the people, he added.
গতকালই আমরা সংবাদপত্রে দেখেছি যে একটি সরকার কয়েকটি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ নথি চেয়ে পাঠিয়েছে সরকারের পক্ষ থেকে। এই নথি চাওয়ার পরেই গতকাল গভীর রাতে এই আগুন, এটা জনমনে বিরাট প্রশ্ন দেখা দিয়েছে।
BNP Chairperson's advisor Habibur Rahman Habib and BNP Standing Committee member Nazrul Islam Khan also spoke at the discussion. BNP Chairperson's advisor Zainul Abidin Farooq said that BNP had warned the interim government repeatedly to remove the allies of Sheikh Hasina's regime from the Secretariat. He said this at a sit-in program in front of Jatiyo Press Club today. Ganotantro Forum organized a program demanding the publication of the white paper on the unlimited corruption of mother of mafia fascist murderer Hasina and her allies. Ganotantro Forum President VP Ibrahim presided over the sit-in. Among others, BNP Joint Secretary General Abdus Salam and Ganotantro Forum General Secretary Barrister Obaidur Rahman Tipu spoke at the program. The speakers at the program said that filing case at the ACC would not be enough. Rather, after publishing white paper, the culprits must be brought to book.
সামনে রোজা, গরিব মানুষকে রোজা রাখার ব্যবস্থা করতে হবে। পেঁয়াজের সিন্ডিকেট যেন আর না হয়, ডালের সিন্ডিকেট যেন আর না হয়, নিত্য নৈমিত্তিক জিনিসের দাম যাতে আর বাড়তে না পারে। কারণ এই সচিবালয়ে যারা আগুন লাগিয়েছে তারা আবার প্রিপেয়ার হচ্ছে, প্রস্তুতি নিচ্ছে, আবারও তারা সিন্ডিকেট তৈরি করে মানুষের রোজা কষ্ট দেওয়ার ষড়যন্ত্রে লিপ্ত আছে।
Meanwhile, 12-party alliance hold a protest rally in front of the National Press Club demanding to end anti-state conspiracy and reducing the price of essentials. Jatiyo Party Chairman and 12-party alliance chief Mustafa Jamal Haidar attended this program as chief guest. The speakers at the rally opined that multifaceted local and foreign conspiracies still continued to destabilize the country. They called upon all to resist the conspirator unitedly. Amur Bangladesh Party said the fire at the Secretariat cannot be an ordinary and splinter incident. Joint Member Secretary of the party, Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad, said this at Meet the Press in Chattogram Press Club today. He called upon the interim government to investigate the incidents with importance. He said people of the country were not engaged in all development activities of the country. There were looting in the name of developments, he added. Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad also said that the state turned into a dynasty as it was in the grip of some families. New trends of politics are necessary to turn Bangladesh around, he added.
এটা কোনোভাবে একটা সাধারণ ঘটনা, বিচ্ছিন্ন ঘটনা হইতে পারে না। বিল্ডিং এ আগুন লাগছে হচ্ছে নাহিদ আর আসিফের রুম পুড়ে গেল। তো আমি সরকারকে বলবো সিরিয়াসলি ইনভেস্টিগেট করবার জন্য, এবং এর আগে সচিব ওয়াজেদ জয় দেখবেন বারবার বলেছেন কোনো এভিডেন্স পাবেন না আমাদের ব্যাপারে, এবং তিনি কিন্তু তথ্য উপদেষ্টা ছিলেন, লাখ লাখ হাজার হাজার কোটি টাকা লুটপাটের নায়ক ছিলেন তিনি। অতএব তার ডিপার্টমেন্টটা পুড়ে গেছে। আজকে সচিবালয়ে যে আন্দোলন করছে এই যে আওয়ামী সচিব লীগ, যার 80% গত 16 বছর দালালি করছে, রাতের ভোট করছে, চুরি ডাকাতি করে বিদেশে টাকা পাচার করছে, তারা সাডেনলি গণতন্ত্রী হয়ে গেছে, গণ অভ্যুত্থানের পক্ষে শক্তি হয়ে গেছে। অতএব এখানে আসলে কি হচ্ছে সেটা সিরিয়াসলি স্ক্রুটিনাইজ করা দরকার।
Bangladesh Jamat Islami Amir Dr. Shafiqur Rahman has said the next parliament election must be based on proportion. He was addressing the Upazila Jamat Islami Workers Conference at Koira Upazila in Khulna district this afternoon. The Jamaat chief sought united cooperation of all to build a discrimination-free society as dreamt by the youths of the country. He said none would have to place demand. If Jamaat gets chance to serve the country, then people's problems would be looked into and solved.
জনগণ আপনাদেরকে নির্বাচিত করে নাই। 14 সালের নির্বাচনে 154 জন বিনা ভোটে পাস, 18 সালের নির্বাচনে রাতের বেলা খালাস, আর 24 সালের নির্বাচনে আমি আর দামি। এই অবস্থায় নির্বাচন করেছে আওয়ামী লীগ, নির্বাচনকে তামসার বস্তুতে পরিণত করেছিল। আমরাও চাই দুর্নীতি যেই করুক তার বিচার হওয়া উচিত। বাংলাদেশের জনগণের কপাল কিসমত পকেট কেটে 26 লক্ষ কোটি টাকা বিদেশে তারা পাচার করেছে। এটা শুধু বিদেশে পাচার, দেশে আরো কত লক্ষ কোটি টাকা তাদের দখলে আছে। ইনশাআল্লাহ আল্লাহ সাহায্য করলে সবকিছু বের হবে ইনশাআল্লাহ।
The International Crimes Tribunal has sent Police Constable Mukul Chokdar to jail in a case filed on charges of burning people in Ashulia of Savar during the anti-discrimination movement of students and masses. The court gave the order today after a hearing in presence of Constable Mukul Chokdar. In the same case, another constable named Malik has been detained in Kishorganj. Chief Prosecutor of the International Crimes Tribunal, Tajul Islam, said this to journalists after the hearing in the morning. He said those who ordered the killings will also be brought to book. Colonel Intikhab Haider Khan, Colonel Staff of the Directorate of Military Operations at the Army Headquarters, today said the Army remains vigilant along with other law enforcement agencies to protect national security as well as maintain law and order in the country. He said this at a press briefing on the Army's activities on maintaining the country's law and order at Officers' Mess in Dhaka Cantonment. Intikhab Haider Khan said they are working to protect the key point installations and important public and private offices, keep the main streets free from traffic congestion alongside recovering illegal arms and drugs, and arrest drug traders and people involved in criminal activities and individuals linked to instigating anarchy. The Bangladesh Army is working to uphold peace and maintain law and order in the Chattogram Hill Tracts and ensure security in the FDMN forcibly displaced Myanmar nationals camp areas of Cox's Bazar district, he added. Apart from these, he said the Bangladesh Army is also working to ensure the security of the industrial zones to make operations of the mills and factories uninterrupted. He said the Army recovered 28 illegal arms and 424 rounds of ammunition from November 29 till now. They also brought a total of 67 incidents of unrest under control and played a pivotal role in controlling 13 road blockades in industrial zones, he added. Moving on to international news. Israel has killed 38 Palestinians in Gaza and injured 137 across the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours, according to the enclave's health ministry. Israel's military has also intensified its raid on the Tulkarem refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, sending in reinforcements a day after killing 8 people there. The victims include 2 women and a teenager. Meanwhile, Hamas and Israel traded accusations on Wednesday over delays in finalizing a ceasefire and hostage release deal after both had reported progress in the latest round of Gaza truce talks. Indirect negotiations mediated by Qatar, Egypt and the United States have been taken place in Doha in recent days, rekindling hope for an agreement between the 2 warring parties that has so far proven elusive. On Wednesday, both sides accused the other of throwing up roadblocks, while Israeli President Isaac Herzog urged the country's leadership to move towards a deal. Syria's new rebel-led authorities say 14 Interior Ministry personnel have been killed and 10 injured in an ambush by forces loyal to ousted President Bashar al-Assad in the west of the country. The fighting took place near the Mediterranean port of Tartus on Tuesday. Reporters say the security forces were ambushed as they tried to arrest a former officer in connection to his role at the notorious Saidna prison close to the capital Damascus. Just over 2 weeks ago, Assad's presidency fell to rebel forces led by the Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham faction. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 3 militants were also killed in the clashes. In a separate development, the Syrian authorities imposed an overnight curfew in the central city of Homs, state media reported. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has warned that Kurdish fighters in Syria will either lay down their weapons or be buried amid hostilities between the Turkey-backed Syrian rebels and other armed groups since the fall of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad earlier this month. Following al-Assad's ouster on December 8, Ankara has repeatedly insisted that the Kurdish YPG militia must disband, asserting that the group has no place in Syria's future. The change in Syria's leadership has left the country's main Kurdish factions on the back foot. Turkey viewed the YPG militia, the main component of the United States allied Syrian Democratic Forces, as an extension of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK militia, which has waged a rebellion against the Turkish state since 1984. The PKK is designated a terrorist organization by Turkey, the US and the European Union. Ankara has repeatedly called upon its NATO ally Washington and others to stop supporting the YPG. At least 21 people, including 2 police officers, have been killed in Mozambique in the last 24 hours, the government said, in post-election violence that erupted after the ruling party was controversially confirmed winners in recent elections. Meanwhile, another report said at least 33 people killed in a violence in Mozambique. Besides, 1,500 prisoners fled from the prison during the violence. The Portuguese-speaking African country's highest court had confirmed on Monday that the Frelimo party, in power since 1975, won the October 9 presidential election that had already triggered weeks of unrest. Interior Minister told a press conference that a total of 236 acts of serious violence were reported across the country, leaving at least 25 people wounded, including 13 police officers. Chapo's main challenger, exiled opposition leader Venancio Mondlane, has claimed the election was rigged, sparking fears of violence between rival party supporters. Shops, banks, supermarkets, petrol stations and public buildings meanwhile were ransacked, with their windows smashed and contents looted. Some were set on fire and reduced to smoldering rubble. Tearful mourners sprayed and lit candles at ceremonies across Asia to remember the 220,000 people killed 2 decades ago when a tsunami hit coastlines around the Indian Ocean in one of the world's worst disasters. A 9.1 magnitude earthquake off Indonesia's western tip on December 26 in 2004 generated a series of waves as high as 98 feet that pummeled the coastline of 14 countries from Indonesia to Somalia. In Indonesia's Aceh province, where more than 1 lakh people were killed, a siren rang out at the Baitur Rahman Grand Mosque to kick off a series of memorials around the region, including in Sri Lanka, India and Thailand, which the tsunami hit hours later. In Thailand, where half of more than 5,000 dead were foreign tourists, commemorations included tearful relatives laying flowers and wreaths at a wave-shaped wall in Ban Nam Kem, its worst-hit village. In Sri Lanka, where more than 35,000 people perished, survivors and relatives gathered to remember around 1,000 victims who died when waves derailed a passenger train. Nearly 300 people were killed as far away as Somalia, as well as more than 100 in the Maldives and dozens in Malaysia and Myanmar. The government has decided to buy 130,000 tons of fertilizers from Russia, Saudi Arabia and Morocco and local company Cornofuli Fertilizer Company Limited, CAFCO. Of these, 60,000 tons are urea, 30,000 tons of MOP fertilizer and DAP fertilizer. The total cost will be Taka 634 crore 32 lakh and 12,000. The decision was taken at a meeting of the Advisory Council on Government Purchase today. Finance Advisor Dr. Saleuddin Ahmed presided over the meeting. Bangladesh Agriculture Development Corporation, under the Ministry of Agriculture, will bring the fertilizer. It will cost Taka 104.31 crore. The price of fertilizer per ton will be $489.75. 5 government primary school buildings were inaugurated today. Primary and Mass Education Advisor Professor Dr. Bidhan Ranjan Roy Poddar inaugurated the new building of 5 schools, including Lalkuthi Government Primary School at Mirpur in the capital, virtually. Presided over by Additional Director General of Primary and Mass Education Department Abu Nur Muhammad Shamsuzzaman, the function was also addressed among others by Primary Mass Education Secretary Farid Ahmed. The Primary and Mass Education Advisor said the children should be made self-educated from the primary level, not only by creating eye-catching establishments, but also by improving the quality of education for children's mental development. Nagorik Oiko arranged a condolence meeting at the National Press Club auditorium today in memory of its advisor and former Parliament member S.M. Akram. Fawzul Kabir Khan, advisor for Power, Energy, Mineral Resources and Railways Ministry, attended the condolence meeting. Presided over by Nagorik Oiko President Mahmudur Rahman Manna, the meeting was also addressed by leaders of the organizations, including Nagorik Oiko General Secretary Shohidullah Kaisar. Speaking on the occasion, the advisor described S.M. Akram as an honest and sincere politician. S.M. Akram did politics for people's welfare and not for seeking popularity. Moving on to news on sports. Australia scored 311 runs for 6 wickets in their first innings against India at the stumps of the first day of the Boxing Day test in Melbourne. At the end of the day, Steve Smith and Pat Cummins were on the crease with 68 and 8 runs respectively. Earlier, the Aussies won the toss and decided to bat first. Marnus Labuschagne scored 72, Sam Constance 60 and Usman Khaja scored 57. The 5-match series are levelling by 1-1. South Africa trailing by 129 runs against Pakistan at stumps of the first day of the first test of 2-match series in Centurion. At the end of the day, South Africa scored 82 runs for 3 wickets in their first innings. Earlier, Pakistan batted first and scored 211 runs in their first innings. Zimbabwe scored 363 runs for 4 against Afghanistan at stumps of the first day of 2-match series in Bulawayo. At the end of the day, Sean Williams and Craig Irwin were on the crease with 145 and 56 runs respectively. Earlier, Zimbabwe won the toss and decided to bat first. Now to end the bulletin, headlines once again. An emergency meeting held with Chief Advisor in the chair in connection with the fire incident at the Secretariat. A high-level investigation committee formed to probe into the fire, informs Advisor Saida Rizwana Hassan. The fire at the Secretariat damages a number of ministries, including LGRD, Roads, Youth and Sports. The investigation would ensure if the fire incident was an act of sabotage or not, says Home Advisor. BNP expresses concern over the fire at the Secretariat, while AB Party calls upon the interim government to look into the fire incident with utmost importance. 38 more Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza as Israeli gear up operation in the West Bank. And Australia scored 311 runs in 6 wickets against India at the end of the first day of Boxing Day test in Melbourne. That's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us and we invite you to watch our 11:30 Bangla News. Until then.